Welcome to our Common Sense channel. Today's topic is common sense and marriage and relationship. Learn how to love with our minds, not our hearts. Devon Morgan is a writer and researcher. Two of his books are Demystifying Cancer, Exposing the Deception of the No Cure for Cancer, and The World Common Sense Challenges. They are available on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, or directly using the email address in the description. Greetings, Brother Devon.
Greetings, Brother Taraka.
Are there different common sense rules for non marital relationships and marriages?
Oh, not really. Marriage is a declaration by two people before family and friends that they have made a lifelong commitment to love and support each other. And they give government permission to have a big say in their finances and the relationship with their children if the marriage come to an end. I am going to share a video where a brother shares some points about why there are problems in marriages and what the end goal should be. This is the basis for today's topic. So let us play this video.
The reason why marriages today are in trouble is because people think it's the end goal instead of the starting point. Rewind! You think you won the race when no, that is just registration table. You know what I'm saying? There is a marathon to continue, and when we celebrate, so we celebrate the wedding and the pictures, and we do all this hype, and then after you do that big payoff, now it's what's next. A lot of us spent more time planning the wedding, what the colors was gonna be, who our bridesmaid and groomsmen, but we didn't go to therapy before. We didn't actually map out the plan. We said those traditional vows that wasn't even specific to us. We didn't even make a covenant with each other. We didn't make a contract. We didn't have the emergency procedures. So my point is, I want everybody to think about that. Marriage is not the end goal, it's the starting point. The end goal is not me marrying you. The end goal is me dying married to you.
So, what are the main points we should take from his message?
Well, we should learn to spend more time planning the marriage than we spend planning the wedding, because the wedding is just one day. So, what is it that you plan in marriage? Things like, I think he means stuff like division of labor, taking care of living expenses, who's going to pay what. Many marriages are known to fail because of financial conflicts. How many kids and when, how they are going to live and coexist. So that's what I think he means by
Hmm.
his major points
I-
anyway.
yeah. Is his philosophy an example of loving with our minds and not our hearts?
No, not really. Whether we love with our minds or our hearts happens before we start making wedding plans. He mentioned having a covenant. This can be a promise to love regardless of the circumstances. Most marriage vows have such a promise, and yet divorce rates are high. And there are many unhappy marriages. So we need more than having a covenant.
Hmm. Relationships usually start with infatuation. So, when does loving with our minds start?
It starts before we meet the person.
Really? How does that work?
It starts with both parties having a firm understanding of self in terms of their values and goals and the type of person that would be compatible with how they want to approach and enjoy life. So we should cultivate a vision of the character of a partner who we would enjoy spending a lifetime with, the type of person we admire and respect. Admiration and respect are two powerful ingredients in loving with our minds. Once we have a firm vision of the character and personality of the type of person we admire and respect, we can recognize them over time after we meet. And if the feeling is mutual, a lifetime commitment is very likely.
Are you talking about a soulmate?
Yes, if we define soulmate as a close friend and romantic partner. Friendship is a huge part of loving with our minds. Friendship means we have common interests that we get joy from. We can have fun together because we enjoy many of the same things.
So, what's wrong with our current practice?
We are currently practicing the Hollywood romantic love marriage or relationship, and it tends to not have a great track record. This is because the romantic love principle does not always include the key that can enable a lifelong relationship and fulfill, quote unquote, till death do us part pledge the brother mentioned in the video. The key is compatibility. An example of incompatibility is when one person likes to have deep discussions, and the other doesn't, and is irritated by them. No matter how in love we think we are, this will not work.
This makes sense. It can eventually lead to a major difference that get bigger and bigger. What else can you say about Hollywood type romantic love?
In the romantic films and books, the emphasis is on the romance, while in real life, we need to be equipped to deal with many challenges, especially if we cope with discrimination as with our quote unquote race. Loving with our minds will enable us to find the right partner to deal with the inevitable ups and downs of life. For example, if a man is planning to go and live in the wilderness, he would be foolish to take a woman who is like a delicate flower.
So, do you think most of us desire a lifelong relationship with the same partner?
Well, our many single parent households suggest not. We in the diaspora do not have a strong relationship and marriage culture. Therefore, in this reality, many of us will say we can't imagine being with the same person for life. And we genuinely believe this. The question is why? How many of us would not welcome being born and grow up in a home with happy, loving parents, and it lasted for their lifetime?
I don't think any of us would turn this down.
Exactly. So those of us who can't imagine being with the same person for life can't imagine it because we haven't experienced a strong relationship culture in our upbringing. Those of us who have watched The Cosby Show can use this fictitious family series as a guide as to what a strong family and relationship culture could look like.
So, what else could you say about loving with our minds?
In practice, can we truly love someone without actually knowing them?
Not really. True love has to be based on a full understanding, acceptance, and admiration of the person's character and personality.
Exactly. But in the Hollywood romantic love model, we become infatuated with someone without knowing them. A definition of infatuation can be defined as possessed with an intense but short lived passion or admiration for someone. This intense passion is usually short lived because it's not based on the fullness of who the person is. If we don't know much about the person, who or what are we in love with? This is an experience where our hearts can flutter, we hear birds singing, and the sun shines brighter. However, this can be the starting point of a great relationship, but both parties should recognize that its infatuation and the feelings will not last. And if they are serious about pursuing it further, it should only be the starting point of a series of interviews that can lead to loving with our minds.
Interviews?
What we call dating,
So, why do you call it interviews?
because it's like an audition for a highly sensitive and life changing job.
So, what do you mean?
If the relationship is intended to produce children, this is a bigger commitment than getting married, and yet many of us are more willing to have children than getting married. Both should be ready for such a huge commitment. Raising children to become valuable to themselves, the family, and society requires skill. If parents are not capable in terms of commitment and skill, a potential valuable life could be wasted and become a problem for everybody. On the other hand, if marriage fails, adults stand a better chance of recovering and moving on to the next relationship. We can even repeat, quote unquote, till death do us part mantra.
So we should have a culture that treats relationships as our most important commitment.
Yes, especially if children are involved, since we have a major problem with high numbers of single parent families. We stand a better chance of dealing with society if this was not the case.
Can you give any more examples that demonstrate that our minds should be more dominant than our hearts in relationships?
There are a couple of stories that illustrate the importance of this principle. The first story is I saw on an episode of the Upper Winfrey Show where these couple, their problem is that one of them wanted children and the others didn't. And Upper Winfrey asked a very obvious question. Didn't you all discuss this before? And apparently they didn't. The next story is a story I read in the papers in Jamaica many years ago, where this woman married to this man, and then she was complaining that after she's cooked his nice Sunday dinner, which is a big ritual in Jamaica, he's off in the bush eating dry food. And then subsequently she discovered that he can't read and write.
What are the main points we can take from the two stories?
Both stories are a demonstration of what can happen if we don't spend time knowing a key aspect of everyone's life, their history and philosophy. In the first story, if they had spent time planning the marriage, the subject of children would have come up and they wouldn't have this major problem that causes them to be on a talk show. In the second example, how can someone love a person that they know so little about, their history and personality? Loving with our minds insists that we have a deep understanding of each other's history, the major experiences that shape who they have become. The more we share, the closer we will be, which is a common sense mantra. The more we share, the closer we will be.
There's a common sense perception that our hearts speak to us. What do you think?
Well, that's not a common sense perception at all. But anyway, it's our heart doesn't think, it feels, and we speak to our heart. We tell it how to feel. However, the communication comes from unconscious programming we got from our community movies and books. However, there is one aspect of the art that is a mystery to me. I don't know where puppy love comes from. Since as puppy, at the puppy stage, we don't understand anything about love. To repeat, the most powerful aspect of loving with our minds is that combination of romantic attachment and being best friends. And what is good friendship based on? Compatibility, having similar values, love spending time together, and enjoying doing a few or many things together. And obviously, great admiration is a part of being good friends. Getting along well and hardly have conflicts, these are powerful ingredients for a lifelong journey.
Mm. So, can you give us some life lasting qualities that we can admire in a person?
Well, it's definitely not whether or not they can run or play football or something. But anyway, we have things like intelligence, kindness, affectionate, protective, dependable, principled, sense of humor, an accomplished achiever, loyalty. There is a saying that some women like bad boys are criminals. I have a confession to make. I have no idea how that works.
Okay. Well, that's all, folks. So, until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video, and also leave a comment.
Yes, same for me here. I want you to help us grow the channel by subscribing foremost, liking the video, leave a comment or ask a question if you wish in the comment section, and I will see you next week.